Hey, Kiers here. I'm going to try to keep this answer short, but one of the problems I've found when I'm trying to talk about issues is that it generally cascades into bigger and bigger issues and different subjects that correspond to those issues because it all is relevant to me about the topic at hand. And in this topic, that would be the death penalty. Normally, I would say I am against the death penalty. But you have to understand that I am for assisted suicide, and I am for assisted suicide, and this is where it gets a little dicey. I am for assisted suicide for anyone convicted of a felony, of a violent felony. And I would also be for assisted suicide for anybody in a psychiatric institution. Uh, well, maybe not. I'd have to think about that. But I think if somebody is in mental anguish, why don't they have just as much right to die as somebody in physical anguish? As long as they can tell the difference. If somebody's constantly moping about, oh, I can't live, why take the risk of them jumping off a skyscraper and killing somebody else, or dying in a car crash, or some other thing, or death by cop, or any of these other issues, when they could just simply just freaking go to the freaking hospital, freaking a psychiatrist can help them, and see, I believe in universal health care, so that's another thing. And if they can go to an institution and they can convince to be freaking euthanized, let them be euthanized. Just freaking hook them up into the Kevorkian booth and let them take themselves out. And that's simply as much as there is to it about the freaking mental health as there is freaking institutionalizing freaking capital punishment. Except in cases of extreme public outrage. Like the BTK killer cut off his freaking victim's arms. Or that stupid Tookie Williams. Freaking, or other people who just freaking are so damn predatory that they don't even deserve to live. Like some of these serial rapists, they're just freaking, they slither into windows and freaking, and just freaking violent rape. They say rape is caused by the people and I don't want to get into the whole rape thing, but basically, I would say violent rape. Although I'm not one freaking, to support the dead men don't rape bullshit either, No, thank you. We won't get into that either. No, I'm not opening that can of worms. But basically, I think that anybody who suffers a criminal condition is someone who is suffering from something that is a mental condition. And I think once you separate the medical and the criminal, if you could even separate those, I don't know. But generally, I guess not everything that is different is a condition. But sometimes I wonder, does it really make sense to have a behavioral impulse that will kill somebody? So basically, I think it should be right to die. And for the people who friggin' need less right to die, in the case of social justice, it should be counseled away from. And for the people more, it should be a moratorium too. Like friggin' Helter Skelter, friggin' Marilyn Manson, not Marilyn Manson, the guy with Charles Manson, the guy with the swastika on his head. He should never have been allowed to live so long. He should have died. a long time ago. And people of such ilk, or whatever, they should be gone. Let them be gone. Now, a little caveat to that is that this would serve, and this is where incentive gets into it, like the book Coma. But as I support universal health care, I also support the right of people to have replacement organs. I also believe in cloning, but in stem cells. But now this is where it gets a little dicey, and I suppose I can be called in this because I see the very slippery slope myself, and that's for medical research, medical organ donation, and hey, like any other carbon source, bio oil. Why not? What do we do with all this bio waste? Well, why don't we put it to good use? And yes, that means friggin' using thermal depolymerization to friggin' get rid of all the surplus medical waste, which will be anything that's left after the cadavers and the organs and everything else, and use it to dispose of cleanly and safely in biooil. Or to change the laws also to have it where people can have to be buried in a certain way that will save them an indignity of not having the right to be buried and have their remains passed along in the way of their choosing. I would personally choose to have my body left to science and just to have a video diary left of me and my genetic code to be left in a locker or in a genetic moratorium. So future generations could view me and could see genetically what made me tick, including a complete medical record, a body scan and such. Unfortunately, I would say a routine body scan, but you can't do that because of the radiation of the current technology that does damage, unfortunately. So, I would say I wish people from the future could learn from me. But as for death penalty, only by demand. Only by public demand, and only by that public demand by moratorium. Even if it has to be a hearing every 3 months, and the most destitute of conditions, which would normally, as I propose for prison reform, that the best form of reform is to do the same things the zoos do and change them from cages to habitats. And when you change a prison from a cage to a habitat, you have the best form of reform. And that's to take a prisoner maybe out of his element and set him in a new pattern of behavior of life. Now, whether he can keep that outside of the confines of institutionalization is something to be seen. But as for these quick fix rehabilitation programs, when the social consensus is strongly known that it's just a revolving door system and a quick way out by gaming the system, no, I don't see that. Nor do I see the hard-nosed conservative idea of putting them all in pink and having their heads bake in the sun in chain gangs and freaking Midwestern prisons without air conditioning. No, all prisons should be cupcake prisons. And the deterrent of prison should not be its unpleasantness of its abusive conditions, but the condition that you will be left far away from the perks that honest people enjoy in society, which should be a perk. That should be the deterrent that you are not allowed to join free men in the pursuit of liberty. That's how I view the problem with cupcake prisons and how they wouldn't be a deterrent. They would be a deterrent because it would be better on the outside when freedom meant something. That's why I'm for death penalty in certain circumstances. That's how I view it.